If you think you can copy Michael Jackson's dance moves, think again. These 5 routines were so intense, even his backup dancers struggled to keep up. Let's dive into the most impossible to copy dance routines that Michael ever performed. Michael Jackson wasn't just a singer, he was a movement. His dance routines are iconic, but some were so challenging that even professional dancers had a hard time mastering them. Today, we're breaking down 5 of the hardest routines MJ ever performed. From explosive energy to mind-bending choreography, these routines are the reason why Michael will always be the king of dance. Most people think they can pull off a moonwalk, but there's more to MJ's dancing than just one move. His routines took years of practice, stamina, and an almost supernatural ability to move his body. So what made his dances so impossible to replicate? Was it the precision, the speed, or something else entirely? Let's start with the first routine on our list. Number 5. Jam. This Is It rehearsals. When Michael was preparing for This Is It, one routine stood out as being particularly tough: jam. The dancers described it as one of the hardest routines they ever had to perform. Why? The choreography is high energy and extremely technical. You're not just dancing, you're practically doing a full body workout, and you have to be in sync with MJ's lightning fast movements. There's no room for mistakes. The crazy thing is that MJ, even in his 50s, moved like he was still in his prime. The dancers were decades younger and still struggled to keep up with him. Imagine having to hit every move with precision, keep the energy high, and stay in perfect sync with Michael. Most people wouldn't even last 5 minutes. Now you see why jam is nearly impossible to copy. Number 4. Dangerous. 1993 American Music Awards. Now let's talk about Dangerous. This one has to be one of Michael's most legendary performances. The 1993 American Music Awards marked the first time Michael performed Dangerous live, and it was nothing short of iconic. At 35 years old, Michael wasn't slowing down. He still danced like a man half his age. What made this performance so special was the combination of rapid footwork, sharp spins, and complex transitions between fast and slow movements. 1 second, he's gliding across the stage like it's nothing. The next, he's spinning so fast it makes your head spin just watching. The complexity of the routine is mind-boggling, but Michael made it look like a walk in the park. Let's not forget this was live. He didn't have the luxury of editing or second takes. Everything had to be perfect, and guess what? It was. The precision required to pull off this routine is beyond what most dancers could ever hope to achieve. His ability to switch between these explosive moves and then slow it down just enough to build tension, it's masterful. And let's talk about stamina again. Dangerous was long. The amount of energy needed to maintain that level of performance for so long would leave most people winded in minutes. But Michael? He was just getting started. For most people, just learning the steps would be hard enough. But trying to add the emotion, the intensity, the storytelling that Michael infused into every move, that's where things go from difficult to impossible. Number 3. Remember the Time. This one is a fan favorite for a lot of reasons. The costumes, the cinematography, the storyline, it's all just perfect. But let's talk about the dancing. This routine might not look as intense as some of his other performances, but here's the kicker. Even Michael himself seemed a bit uncomfortable with it. There's actual footage of Michael rehearsing Remember the Time, and it's one of the few times where he stops mid-dance, almost as if he's not sure of the choreography. This is Michael Jackson we're talking about, the guy who invented some of the most iconic dance moves in history. So, for him to stop and look unsure, it's pretty wild. There's also a theory that MJ faked an injury during one of his live performances of Remember the Time because he wasn't confident in the choreography. He sat in a chair for most of the performance, but honestly, it still looked amazing because, well, it's Michael Jackson. The routine itself is incredibly intricate. It's smooth but fast, requiring a perfect blend of fluidity and sharpness. The timing has to be perfect, and if you miss even one beat, the whole performance falls apart. The choreography is deceptively difficult, and even if you think you've got the moves down, replicating Michael's exact style is nearly impossible. The key to Remember the Time wasn't just the steps, it was the way Michael added his signature touch to every movement. He made each step feel like part of a larger story, and that's something no one else can do. Number 2. Scream. Michael and Janet Jackson. When Michael teamed up with his sister Janet for Scream, it was a dance lover's dream. The two of them together created magic on screen. But what a lot of people don't realize is that this routine was insanely difficult, even for them. Janet Jackson is one of the best dancers in the world, and yet keeping up with Michael was no small task. The Scream routine is all about synchronization. Every movement, every step had to be perfectly in sync with Janet's, and that's where the challenge lies. The choreography is lightning fast, and if one person is even half a second off, the whole routine looks off. The footwork in Scream is intense. You're constantly switching between fast, sharp movements and slower, more controlled steps. And the transitions are where most people fail. 1 second you're hitting a hard, fast move, and the next you're expected to glide into something smoother. That's a lot harder than it sounds. What makes Scream even more impossible to copy is the chemistry between Michael and Janet. They weren't just two dancers performing a routine, they were siblings who shared an unspoken connection. You can't fake that kind of chemistry, and it added a whole other layer to the performance. Even if you learn the steps, you'll never be able to replicate the bond they had, and that's what made Scream unforgettable. Number 1. Too Bad Ghosts. Finally, we have Too Bad from Ghosts. If you've never seen this performance, you're missing out on one of Michael's most aggressive and physically demanding routines. Too Bad isn't just a dance, it's a full-body experience. The choreography is intense, with sharp, powerful movements that require a ton of physical strength. There's a lot of popping and locking, but it's not just about hitting the moves. You have to add that extra layer of aggression that Michael brought to this routine. It's like he was fighting the air with every movement, and that's something you can't teach. Then, there are the smooth transitions. One moment he's hitting a hard move, and the next he's gliding across the stage like he's floating. That combination of aggression and fluidity is what makes Too Bad so hard to copy. Most people can't switch between the two styles with the kind of ease that Michael did. But what really makes Too Bad impossible to replicate is the energy. Michael put everything he had into this routine. You can't just learn the moves and call it a day. You have to give it everything you've got, and even then, it still might not be enough to match MJ's level. So what makes these routines impossible to copy? It's not just the choreography, although that's hard enough. It's the way Michael combined technical mastery with raw emotion. He didn't just dance, he became the music. Every performance was unique, and no matter how much you practice, you'll never be able to capture the magic he brought to every move. These 5 routines prove that Michael Jackson wasn't just a dancer, he was in a league of his own. From the technical complexity to the emotional intensity, his performances were more than just moves. They were a full-body experience that no one else can replicate. So, the next time someone tries to copy a Michael Jackson routine, just remember, there's a reason they call him the King of Pop. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe for more MJ content and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.